Okay, I wasn't here yesterday, so bear with me if you've been asked this question before, okay?
All right.
All right, I know you were part of a series called Noin.
Yes.
So, how did you feel playing technically two different characters?
Are you talking about the revelation at the end of the show, the second character that I play?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the whole show before we started recording. So I didn't know about the second character that I was playing until it showed up. And that's when I looked at the director and said, "Why didn't you tell me? Would have been helpful." I had a similar experience on Young Justice. Yay! Since it's aired and been aired for a long time, the first season, there's a whole question about who the mole is. There's somebody who's inside, who's giving information to the bad guys. And no one knows who the mole is. It's me! And I didn't know until episode 25 of 26. I'm reading the script and it comes out. And I'm like, what? And then I read 26 and I'm like, oh no! And the producer's a friend of mine, Greg Weissman. And I walked in the studio the next day, I was like, Greg, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, oh, we didn't want you to know, we didn't want to... I'm an actor, I'm not the audience. The audience isn't supposed to know. The actor needs to know in order to plant the seed so that it works well in the process. So, I like to know that kind of stuff going in, but unfortunately, I didn't want to know. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Yay.
I have a question about Wolf's Rain.
Yes.
It's a terribly depressing anime. I was wondering how you felt about
I think you have problems expressing your emotions, sir. No, you're great. You found Wolf's Rain very depressing.
Yes.
Yes. There is a reason why it is that way. It has to do with the cosmology of the world that it takes place in. Wolf's Rain, for those of you who may not know, I have a certain fascination with mythological storytelling, and I will have a big panel late this afternoon at 4:45, my anime mythology panel. There actually is one of my presentations where I talk about Wolf's Rain in detail. Unfortunately, it is not the one I'm doing today, but the point of what I'm trying to get to is, Wolf's Rain is depressing because it is, or it can be seen as depressing. No, it's sad. The end of Wolf's Rain is very sad. Because it is working on a sort of Hindu-Buddhist cosmology. And in the Hindu notion of how the world and the universe is created, there is a cycling of the world. The world is born, it matures, and then it dies, and then it recycles. And so what you're dealing with Kiba, is the main character in Wolf's Rain, is sort of like a Buddha figure. He's aware of his past lives. That's why that last little sequence mirrors what happens in the opening credits of every episode, is because they're trying to link what Kiba's spiritual journey, what he's going through. The Buddha's journey was not a happy one, right? The Buddha's journey was also sort of depressing. So it's sort of appropriate, if you're trying to get across a Buddhist message, that the characters themselves have to go through the same sort of trials and tribulations that the Buddha had to go through to get his experience and knowledge. Neo in The Matrix didn't have a very good time either. That's the best modern retelling of the Buddha that I know, The Matrix. It's fantastic. So that's part of why it is built the way it is that it's the same thing that happened to Prince Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know, you guys probably think I'm speaking Swahili now. But it's actually Sanskrit. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the core scriptures of Hinduism, and in it, Prince Arjuna is supposed to go to war against his cousins. And he rides out in his chariot and sees all of his cousins and says, I can't fight my cousins. These are my family. I'm not going to kill them. Better that I not fight. Even though I am a prince and I'm supposed to go to war, I will not fight. What he doesn't know is his charioteer is Krishna, the god Krishna. And Krishna turns around and says, wimp? Don't you understand your duty as a prince is to go to war and fight? And don't you understand that I am an infinite God and I've already destroyed all these people? And they will be destroyed over and over again because they're all going to be reincarnated, and then they'll be destroyed again, and then they'll be reincarnated, and then they'll be destroyed again. So there's nothing you can do. One life? You're going through this cycle millions of times, dude. Get in there and do your dharma. And Arjuna's like, what? And then he sits at the feet of Krishna, and Krishna explains to him Hinduism. So it's that sort of cycle. If you're looking at it from a Western perspective, where we only usually get one life, and the timeline is linear, and once the world ends, it never is reborn, then it's even more depressing, right? Because you think, oh, characters' lives end, and that's all they got. But it's not, and that's why the last episode of Wolf's Rain is built the way it is. It's not working on a Western, sort of Abrahamic, Judeo-Christian paradigm. It's working on a Buddhist Hindu paradigm. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was just wondering, since you get into your characters, at the end, did you feel cathartic at it, or did it actually take some time and emotionally drained you? Was the main question.
Oh, for me, it was, yes, it was, I'm sorry if I misanswered your question. For me, it was important that my character have a very sad, pathetic in the terms of pathos, that you feel sympathy for the character, that you feel, oh my God, he had to go through that. It was very important for me to get that across as well as possible, and the director and I, Mary Elizabeth, were very focused on that, and she said, this is a really tough episode, your final episode. I said, I know, and I said, but I will stay in this booth until we get it right. I don't care how long it takes. You don't even have to pay me extra. If we go overtime, it doesn't matter. We're going to stay here. We're going to get this performance right. And when we were done with it, they did a quality control watch with the producers, and the producers said that they actually teared up during my performance. And so I thought, good, got it, it works.
Yes!